But yesterday was also the first day in pads for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ray Fittipaldo of the Post-Gazette, our Steelers insider, was there. He covered it. He watched it. And he is brought to us by Western PA injury attorneys of LGKG. Built on relationships, credibility, and integrity. LGKG.com. Good morning to you, Ray. How are you, buddy?
Good morning, fellas. How are you?
Outstanding. And Ray, let's start with the quarterbacks. So Russ Wilson being worked back slowly. Just reading the tea leaves here, Ray. Do you think Russ is being brought back slowly more in protection of Russ or more because they want to see what Justin Fields has with that first-team offense?
No, I think definitely just to protect Russell Wilson. You know, he's 36 years old, lower body injury. You don't want this to linger into the season. I mean, I won't argue with you. I think Justin Fields has gotten a lot of reps that he otherwise wouldn't have received, but I think that's just the byproduct of them being careful with Russ.
Does Justin Fields look like a starting quarterback?
He's been a starting quarterback in the league, Doran. I don't think he's the best option to be the Steelers starting quarterback, but, I thought he's, steadily gotten better. I thought, yesterday was probably his best day. And I know we're not going to see this a lot because you really game plan this, guys, but we saw 2 designed runs for him yesterday. 1 in 7 shots and then 1 in another 11 on 11 period. And I think that's what you're going to see. If Justin Fields does have to play, you're going to see maybe a different type of offense for him. And, there have been inconsistencies with his accuracy, mostly over the middle of the field. But, from the start last week until we are now, I think he's steadily gotten better, but I still think Russ is the better option.
Steelers insider Ray Fittipaldo with us on the Fan Hotline, presented by Sullivan Super Service, providing trusted plumbing and HVAC service for over 50 years. Scale of 1 to 10 here, Ray. How big of a deal is the injury to Roman Wilson?
Listen, given their situation in that room, I'll say a 7. I think in the short term, this is going to give more opportunities to guys like Van Jefferson and Quez Watkins and Scotty Miller to establish themselves with Fields and Wilson. So that's good for them and potentially good for the quarterbacks. But I think the issue is going forward, how much does this stunt Roman Wilson's growth? He's going to miss at least 1 preseason game, probably 2. And that's just, he's going to be playing catch up late in training camp. And I just think that's tough for a rookie to overcome. So I never thought he was going to be the number 2, guys. I thought in a best case scenario, he would be the 3, but now you even got a question if he could be the number 3 receiver going into the season, given this injury.
Does this now push them to sign a veteran receiver, and not necessarily the Ayuks or DK Metcalf or McLaurins of the world, but I mean, there's 3 receivers out there that they could be serviceable on an NFL roster: Michael Thomas, Hunter Renfrow, and Russell Gage. Does this push them to maybe look to sign another veteran?
Yeah, so, I mean, of those that you mentioned, Doran, I would say Renfrow probably, because he's probably most like Wilson. Michael Thomas is a different type of receiver. So, possibly. And I wouldn't put a trade past Omar either. I think this potentially could, put that more on the front burner. I know we've talked about it. The ball's not really in their court per se right now, but, maybe something later in August, something could come down as far as the trade goes. But, yeah, if Hunter Renfrow can come in here and maybe be a part of this receiving core, that's a possibility as well, given the lack of quality depth that you have behind George Pickens.
Ray, I know you're always watching those big hogs. I know you got a good eye for them big hogs. What did you see, good, bad, and ugly, out of the younger offensive linemen and the 2 rookies in particular, obviously Zach Frazier and Troy Fautanu?
Yeah, well, I'll take Frazier first because I know that's all you care about, Adam. 2 very good reps against Montravius Adams in one-on-one pass pro yesterday. I gave Frazier the win on both. But I want to see him against Benton. They'll probably do one-on-one pass pro again, either today or tomorrow. So I want to see that matchup. To me, Adams is a vet. He's been in the league 5-6 years, but I want to see him go up against the best. So that's a matchup I'll be looking forward to over the next couple of days. And Troy Fautano just continues to impress me. People probably know by now, but he had a best of 3 against TJ Watt, and he won. He won 2 out of the 3 reps after falling behind on the first one. So just really solid. His best rep was that second rep. He had a great punch, stood TJ up, and TJ didn't have a counter. So I've said it all along. This guy is polished. He is fundamentally sound, and he has great footwork. And, he's different from Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones is kind of like that prototypical left tackle, big, long, all the physical attributes you can want. Fautanu is that 24-year-old polished rookie who has a much better chance of starting than Broderick Jones did last year.
Ooh. Do you get the feeling that the players and the staff that is out in the field every single day has a good feeling that this is now a legitimate offense with Arthur Smith? I mean, I follow all the reps and, everything that you guys tweet out, and I'm following it. I'm not there, obviously, but it just seems that Arthur Smith has a really great grasp on what needs to be called, what personnel's in, how to utilize personnel, how to utilize Justin Fields in different ways. I mean, I saw there was reps of him running the option, and it was successful. Like, utilizing guys in their strengths. Do you get the sense that it's like, okay, we finally have an offense here?
Yeah, 100%. And there's belief and there's confidence in Arthur Smith's ability to game plan, to play call. I'll just bring up 7 shots yesterday, the first 2 reps. Everyone knows Arthur Smith wants to establish the run. So the first play, they're physical. Najee Harris gets into the end zone. Very next play, it's a fade pattern to George Pickens in the corner. So, he's going to keep teams, opposing defensive coordinators on their toes too. He's just not going to, run up against a brick wall if teams are defending against it. So, Doran, there are layers to game planning and to play calling. You have to set things up. And I think Arthur Smith has been really good at that in the past, and I'm really looking forward to how he does that with the Steelers as well.
We were tossing this around a little bit earlier, Ray, that by all accounts, the Steelers' first-team offense was pushing around the Steelers' first-team defense a little bit. Is that something that you typically see this early? Because my recollection of what we talked about before was that usually the defense seems to have the upper hand early.
Yeah, they definitely set the tone. Yesterday I mentioned Fautanu versus Watt, but even when you had a team run period, 11 on 11, there was tackling there and in 7 shots, and I thought there was some push up front there. Najee's first touchdown run was behind Isaac Seumalo and against the first-team defense. So, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the offense is going to bypass the defense as this team's strength, but I do think it's a good sign early on in camp that these guys aren't intimidated by that defense. The defense is going to respond. Mike Tomlin talked about it yesterday after practice. He expects them to respond today, but for the first day, the offense definitely had the upper hand.
Excuse me. Whoa, man! Within the first, man, that was bad.
I'm sorry. I just gotta soak in that for a second. Because I do that 18 times a show.
Yes. Give it to me. I needed it. Wow, that was bad. Sorry, Ray.
He's just clearing the sinuses.
Right.
There.
Within the first 4 days with helmets, and then yesterday being the first day of pads, is there anybody that stuck out to you that is maybe new or young that you saw in helmets but looks different whenever the pads come on?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the linemen again because, they've invested so much in that over the last couple of years. And this is more talk about the offense having a good day yesterday. Mason McCormick, the 4th-round pick out of South Dakota State, 2 really good reps against veteran defensive tackle Isaiah Loudermilk. And I think if we could flip this over and talk about maybe a negative, and it's a positive for Spencer Anderson, last year's 2nd-round pick, but I had him beating DeMarvin Leal 3-0 in one-on-one pass rush reps. So there's been a lot of talk about, Keanu Benton and DeMarvin Leal. I think there's higher expectations within that building for Benton, but there's a hope that Leal, a 3rd-round pick from a couple years ago, can finally put it together. But he didn't have a good day yesterday, and he's going to have to start stacking some good days if he's going to be a part of that rotation and not be a healthy scratch like he was at the end of last season.
Peyton Wilson, anything different?
Really good, competitive. He went up against Jalen Warren and backs on backers. He beat Warren, which is something because Warren is really, really good in that drill. Beat him with a nice little athletic spin move to win that rep. Next rep, he tried to bull rush Warren, got put on his wallet. But that guy's athletic. He's not afraid to mix it up. I love the fact that he didn't go back and leaned on his athleticism for that second rep. He's an inside linebacker. He's got a bang. I love that he tried to bull rush Warren, even though he probably knew it wasn't going to turn out well.
Ray Fittipaldo with us here on the Fan Morning Show. Okay, it's game one. Steelers, Falcons in a 3-wide receiver set in the Steelers counter with Joey Porter Jr., Dante Jackson, and Beanie Bishop. How should Steelers fans feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, right now, after a week, I think Beanie's held his own. But I want to see Beanie in preseason games. And, we're going to get that opportunity about 9 days from now against the Texans. Those are going to be his biggest reps of the summer. You're going against the same guys every single day. Again, he's been solid.
Good ones, too.
Yeah, and to me, he's got to prove himself in the preseason games. We all know there's other, Doran mentioned the free agent receivers out there. There's free agent corners out there as well. So if Beanie doesn't do enough to convince the coaches he's the guy in the next couple of weeks, the Steelers will have options to fall back on at that position as well.
Ray, very good. Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. See ya.
Thanks, Ray.
See you.